Well, good morning and welcome to the Mindfulness Broadcast, everyone. It is September 9th, and it is one of those beautiful moments in our year where we really, at least here, we are in Southern Oregon. I am in Southern Oregon, I should say. We really begin to feel the transition from one season to another. And you can rest assured that I will focus several mindfulness broadcasts on the season shifting and moving into this beautiful season of color and flavor and a celebration and all that there is to do in fall. So we will talk more about that as we get deeper into it. But today, I want to remind you as we begin, we have the Mindful Masterclass that happens the third Wednesday of every month from 8 to 8:30. I know many of you have been joining us there, and it's been wonderful. We do a deeper dive in those. We do not actually do an active mindfulness practice. We do a deeper dive on a subject, and then you leave with a lot of resources and information. So you do need to register for that class. You register for a chunk of 6 of them. You can attend whenever that works for you, but you do need to register in advance. So I'm putting the link and the code in there. It will have a price attached to it. There is a promo code there that removes the price for you as workforce development professionals. And so that's there. The next one is the 21st from 8 to 8:30. And our focus is going to be vagus nerve activation. Vagus nerve is when we activate that, we can activate that parasympathetic nervous system, which helps put the brakes on our stress response. So it's really kind of understanding it, how it works, and then learning a few real solid techniques to help give yourself that tool. Okay, so we are going to dive in. Let me tell you, I'm putting another link in the chat. That link is a link to a YouTube video I made years ago, I think in 2015 or 2016. And it talks about something called the universal default resting state. Universal default resting state. It's about a 10-minute video, and it's going to go a lot more into what I'm going to talk about today. So that's there and accessible if you'd like it. So the universal default resting state it's universal, meaning we all have it. Resting means that it is happening to us when we are not actively engaged in something. So when we are not being mindful, being intentional, being present with something, then our mind goes into these resting states. And there are many of them, but there are 4 that are activated quite often and among all of us. And so it's universal default resting state. Universal, it's all of us. Default, it's not your fault. It just happens. And resting state, it's happening a lot because we aren't often just completely engaged and purposeful with our focus of attention. So the 4 that are activated a lot, and I'm going to do a very quick synopsis of these. Again, you can go to that link to get more information. One is a running commentary, which means that we are just constantly chattering back here, whether we're conscious of it or not. And the theme of that chatter tends to be judgment. So is this good? Is this bad? Is this right? Is this wrong? Are they right? Are they wrong? Are they good? Are they bad? Should this be louder or quieter? Should this be saltier or sweeter? We're just constantly in this commentary place of judgment. The other one is called, the second one is called time travel. And again, I'm just going to do a quick job on this, but we tend to go backwards into memory, and often that is kind of an enhanced memory or a changed memory from fact. And then, or we travel into the future. So we are imagining scenarios, either ones that make us nervous, ones that terrify us, ones that please us and bring us a lot of pleasure. But we tend to move into these scenarios and then kind of try to predict what's going on. And sometimes we do those simultaneously. We take a future version of ourselves into a past experience. We are amazing beings. What we do when we're sitting there looking like we're doing nothing, we are doing so much. Um, and the third one I want to talk about is called self-referential processing, and that is really a big phrase just to say that we build this rigid and defined sense of self, and that tends to get more rigid and more defined as we get older and practice that over and over again. So we get to a place where we say, I do this or I don't do that. I am this kind of person. I am not that kind of person. This is what I like. This is not what I like. This is who I am on this assessment and that assessment. And so this is what I do, right? It's this rigid sense of self, which seems helpful, except that it also can really prevent us when we look at change. When we look at that sense of self, maybe doesn't serve this present version of who we are. And so it makes us, it makes the process of shifting a little bit more challenging for us. And then finally, we engage in something called social cognition, which means that we are we're putting the world into categories of people, types of people, um, and then we judge ourselves against those groups. So am I part of this group? Am I not part of this group? Is this a Republican or a Democrat? Is this a Southern Oregonian or a Northern Oregonian? Is this a Pacific Northwester or an East Coaster? Is this, and we can add ethnicity and culture and gender and sexuality and all of those things into there as well. And then again, that all tends to have this negative judgment attached to it. And my group is good, that group is bad. I'm not a part of this group, I am a part of that group. Because you're a part of this group and I'm a part of that group, we're not the same, right? So we tend to be very busy in our brains judging. And that is a lot to say. This is normal. It's who we are. It's how our brains function. And what mindfulness allows us to do is come into those moments and go, oh, look what's functioning. Look what's happening. Look how I'm placing judgment and separating without even being intentional, without even being mindful, literally being mindless in the process. I am placing judgment, which then activates a whole neurobiological response. So what we're going to practice today, we're going to go through it a little quickly here since I took so long to introduce this, is a practice called loving kindness meditation. Sometimes it's called meta meditation. So you can use different phrases, but it's this one where we purposefully connect. So we're working against our default mode. What we're doing is purposefully sending kindness first to ourselves, kindness and love and acceptance. And then we go out and we do that to other people on purpose. And the beauty of this exercise is that, when you're standing in line, let's say in the grocery store, or you are in a place where you're waiting, and our mind goes into that mindless place and we start to make judgments without any intention behind it, we can come into that moment and instead send out loving kindness. In either verbally or just standing there looking like you're not doing anything at all, purposefully creating a mental state that connects, that builds safety, that releases a very different set of neurotransmitters than judgment and separation. So let's go ahead and get into that practice now. You can close your eyes or take a soft gaze. And just right away, connect with some anchor point in your being. That might be your breath or your heartbeat. Perhaps it's your posture. Finding something that is just easy to place your attention on. And just notice it. Get curious about it. Notice the qualities. And feel yourself ground into this moment. Getting present, getting purposeful. And this is your home base. So if at all during this practice you find yourself challenged and you want to come back to the home base, or you just stay at the home base and witness the practice from here, that's all a perfectly wonderful choice. And we're going to start by sending kindness to ourselves. For many of us, we are the target of our own judgment, of our own criticism, often, daily, unconsciously. And so we're going to give ourselves some purposeful love and acceptance. And you might find that you want to place your hand on your heart or your belly or wherever your hands want to land. And just softly to yourself, you can repeat these words. I put them in the chat so that if you want to follow along, you can. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and happy. You can modify that in whatever way feels right for you. And again, if you need to go touch base at home, go back to that place of attention. And for those of you who are ready to move on, I want you to imagine somebody that you feel connected to, somebody with which it is easy to feel connected, to feel love, to feel kindness. They might be alive, they might not be. They might be four-legged or two-legged. And bring them into your mind's eye. Just feeling that in your body as you bring them into your moment. And then send them loving kindness. And again, it's in the chat if you want to follow, or you can just listen to my voice. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. I want you to bring a stranger into your mind's eye now, somebody that you may have encountered but don't know. Perhaps it's the person who drops off the mail, or somebody in a Zoom meeting, or a neighbor you've seen but don't know. And don't work too hard, just allow that being to emerge. And again, this can be four-legged or two-legged. And send loving kindness to them. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. And as we begin to close, just notice your sense of being right now. Find your anchor point. Slowly open your eyes and come back together. Thank you so much. I've got that in the chat if you want to grab that loving kindness saying. Again, the YouTube video is up there as well, as is the information and promo code for the mindfulness masterclass on September 21st. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. I'll hang out for a second so you have time to grab that if you want it.